So let's talk about that. And what are the steps we're going to put in place to move through these so that it's going to make an immediate, more valuable situation, both for my life and for my business.
Welcome to Biz Help for You, the show that saves you the expensive learning curve by providing advice from industry experts in every facet of the entrepreneurial journey. Too many small businesses collapse. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 20% fail within their first year, and less than 35% make it to their 10th anniversary. The goal of this podcast is to change that statistic. So if you're interested in learning more to be a successful entrepreneur, tune in today.
Let me tell you a little bit about my guest today. Pete Mohr is a certified exit planner and Kolbe coach who specializes in helping business owners transition from operators to owners. With over 30 years of experience, Pete utilizes frameworks that simplify the complexities of running a business. His mission is to help business leaders live the life they deserve by creating thriving, sustainable businesses. He's also the creator of tools and resources, including the Value Builder Assessment, designed to help entrepreneurs build long-term value in their businesses. You can learn how to strategically build the value of your business, ensuring it becomes a sustainable asset that supports your long-term goals, whether or not you intend to sell. So, Pete, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Candy. It's exciting to be here back with you and the audience. And I'll just clarify one thing on the introduction. I didn't actually create the Value Builder Assessment, but I am licensed to use it. I mean, I create all kinds of stuff, as you know. We've talked about that in some other ones, but this one in particular I didn't create. But it's such a great tool, and I'm excited to talk about it today. It's something that I use every day in our business.
Perfect. Well, thank you for clarifying that. I am happy to have you back again. And just for the listener, if you are tuning in and you haven't heard Pete before, we are going to put episodes in the show notes that he was on before, and we might discuss a little bit today referring back to those two, but definitely check out the show notes to learn more about prior discussions that we've had. But before we get into the topic, Pete, I would love for you just to share just a little bit more of your background and how you began helping entrepreneurs in their businesses.
You said it, 30 years, and it goes by so quickly. It's like crazy to think that I started and bought my first franchise back in 1994, bathroom renovation company. And we built that over a course of 15 years into a multi-truck operation. We were in 1,000 bathrooms a year. And during the same time, about 3 or 4 years into that journey, I bought another business that was underperforming, and it had about 30 clients, and we grew it, 10x'd it to about 300 and sold it. And it was a cleaning business, and we were in the bathroom business for years, renovating bathrooms and also cleaning bathrooms. And so that's where I spent the first sort of half of my business career. I became a business broker. I went back to school, took my executive MBA, and helped people buy and sell businesses as a business broker, which is where I found the businesses that we still own 15 years as we're recording this next week, 15 years in business in the shoe industry. We own some shoe stores in Canada called Shootopia. And one of them celebrates 15 years since I've owned it. And then the other one next week, the same month and same day that we kicked off, it celebrates its 10th year anniversary next week. So excited about those anniversaries. Being a shoe retailer is still a big piece of what I do. A lot of my coaching clients are in the retail industry. Probably 30-40% of my coaching clients are in the retail industry. And the rest of them are sort of all over the board with different small businesses and what have you, small, medium businesses. But ultimately, I've spent my life in business, Candy. And how did I get to coaching? It's like I've always coached since way back when. People would always come to me saying, what should I do here? I've always been sort of one of those people that people came to. So back in 2019, I decided to actually hang my shingle and become an official coach and work with business and get paid to do it as well. Not just doing it for my buds and all that kind of stuff. And right. Just because, and you said it in the intro, I mean, I have a belief, a firm belief that business owners are the backbones of their communities. They're the people that hire. They're the people that run the little leagues. They're the people that are deacons of the church. They're the people that are involved in the Kiwanis Club and the Lions Club and all the different ones that are raising money for building the playground or putting the wing on the hospital or any of these sort of things. And it's my belief that if I can help that business owner get more time back and make more money, that they will in turn somehow give a portion of time and a portion of money back to their communities. And in some small way, I feel as though I can help that community by helping the business owner, because I know, and we've seen this time and time again, Candy, the amount of give that business owners have for their communities is an incredible thing. And it's vastly larger than the average person.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at all of these things, the money's coming typically from business owners, and the time is coming typically from business owners. Not always, but the proportionate amount is vastly greater from business owners. So my feeling is, if I can help that person, get out of working 70 hours a week and get more of their time back, both for their family and for their community, and make more money at the same time, they're going to give that back, and they're going to live a better life, but their communities are going to benefit from it too. So, from a larger sort of global scale, that's why I got into coaching. That's why, and I love having conversations with people like you and your listeners every day, and digging through the conversations, trying to clarify and align accountabilities. Like our last sort of conversation was around the CMA structure, communication management and accountabilities, and really start to hone this stuff down so that we can work our businesses and give them the life that we want to live as business owners. Because when we reel it back, no matter whether you're an accounting business or whether you're a shoes business or whether you're a plumber or whether you manufacture stuff, we get into business because we want a better life as business owners, right?
And so many times we think we're going to have freedom, right? And I know you're going to talk about, that we're going to talk about moving, from being that operator to the owner. So I would love for you maybe even to explain like how you are helping people understand the difference between that, because again, we start businesses, we think we're just going to work, just like we did in companies or things like that too, 9 to 5 or whatever. And usually that's not the case, right? So can you help them get out of being that operator and tell them how to do so?
Well, I can start off by saying it's not a quick process. It's not a flip of a switch. And I can also say that, I got back 2 weeks ago from a month sabbatical. So I live this. I mean, I was away for a month from my business, from Shootopia. Everything got done without me. I came back and I said, "What do you need me to do?" They said, "Nothing. We're good. We got it covered." And so, I find it hard to not live what I coach to. So I'm running businesses on a day-to-day basis that operate in this fashion. And, it really starts by understanding yourself as the leader and understanding what your accountabilities are. And from the value builder perspective, I know we're going to talk a little bit about value builder. There's 8 different categories in your business that we measure. And that one's called hub and spoke. Are you the hub and spoke of your business? And do all of the major clients go through you? Do all of the major decisions go through you? Does all the hiring and firing go through you? Does all the marketing go through you? Does all the operational decisions go through you? All of these things, if they're all going through you, you are the hub and spoke of the business, which makes some business owners feel pretty special. It's like, oh yeah, I own this thing. And it's like, ooh, bravado, all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, it doesn't help create value in your business. It doesn't help create value in your family life. It doesn't help create value for your team. You may feel better, at least at the time, until you don't, when you're fed up and you're tired and you're saying, I don't even care anymore. To the point where I'm going to sell this business because I hate it so much, I don't want to do it. Right? We've all seen that too. It's unfortunate.
Well, I've been doing this in my own business too for the last year and a half or so for multiple reasons. One, I was that entrepreneur that often worked longer hours, especially during crazy season, right? A lot of things came in. I have a staff, but we still had to get, 1099s done or, different things. But I also knew, like, what if something were to happen to me? Or what if something happens to a family member and I need to be able to step away? I want my staff to feel that the company is going to be there and to be able to continue to run and keep them employed as well. And so it's not just for us to have some of that freedom, it's for them too. And so I would love for you to maybe start talking about, you mentioned there's 8 key things that people need to think about for their, business value that they're going to be creating. So I'd love for you maybe give an overview of what those first 8 are, and then we can dive a little bit deeper.
Before we get into that, I'm just going to touch on your little point there.
Mm-hmm.
It's so vital. Because whether we're setting our business up for exit or whether we're setting our business up for creating value, it's the same process. Because, and I'm talking to you, the listener now, you probably know someone, getting to Candy's comment, that has passed away prematurely, that caused major problems with their business. I just spoke with someone who had a pet food business this morning, and the principal lost his battle, and now they really have no value in the business. Nothing's been shipped, nothing's happened in the last month, and they don't know what to do. You can't allow yourself to get to that point. All of the value that you've built in the business can be destroyed in a matter of a month if things don't continue to happen. And that affects the legacy, not only that you leave from the business perspective, but the legacy that you leave to your family. And so whether it's death, whether it's divorce, which is also a major cause of business disruption and potential exit, whether it's partnership disagreement, which we've all seen partnerships fail, whether it's some sort of distress around or disability, whether you get in a car accident or have cancer and you're out for 2 or 3 months or whatever the case is, we need to be prepared. And it's the same thing with the value builder. When we look at the value builder, because when we start looking at it from a value builder perspective in building the value of our company, it's not only about getting our next payday, next week's, or what am I going to draw this month? It's about building this value over the course of the time that you have your business, so that you will, because one thing's a given. You will exit your business one day, no matter what. Something is, whether you plan to exit, which is about 50% of business owners, or whether the plan happens to you, which is the other 50%, right? Either way, we need to be ready. And these things, the 8 key drivers on the value builder assessment that we put people through regularly so that they have a benchmark to understand where they're sitting, are these. Financial performance, obviously, you get that one more than anybody, right? Financial performance is such a key piece, that your books are in order. And so many small business owners, their books aren't in order.
I can help.
I know. And that's why I'm saying it's the number one, right? Number 2, growth potential. Can the business scale beyond where it is today? Number 3, we call it Switzerland structure, which is kind of an odd name, but basically it's, are you overly dependent on any one customer, any one employee, or any one supplier? Number 4 is the valuation teeter-totter, which is cash flow. Is your business a cash generator, or does it need constant capital to survive? Right? Number 6 is recurring revenue. Can you prove recurring revenue? Do you have contracts in place? In retail, it's hard to prove recurring revenue, but I'll tell you, like even from our shoe stores, we found a way to prove recurring revenue, which is we use Shopify as our platform. But on Shopify, when we input people's names and we keep data there, at any given time, I can tell you at any time of the year, at our particular stores, we average about 65% of the customers that come in our door are returning customers. If I was buying that business and I was worried about getting my next customer in the door, but knowing that at least 65% of the revenue is coming in from returning customers, that's very comforting to me buying this business. It's like, it's already there. I don't have to build it from scratch, right? Think of the value that's creating in the business through the eyes of a potential buyer, right? Monopoly control is another one. How much of your market do you control in your given area? Are you 5 Mile famous? Are you the place that people go in your particular area of business to do what you do? And if you are, that has extreme value. And if you can prove it, even more. Customer satisfaction. Do you have proof that your customers love what you do? Are you getting Google reviews? Are you, what sort of measurements do you have that you can prove to a potential new owner or a banker? Because it's the same thing. We're talking about the same thing all here. I've termed it, is your business exit ready? And my one of the websites is called The Exit Ready Business. But ultimately, we're trying to build value. We're trying to do all of these things. It's all the same process. So customer satisfaction, incredibly important to the future of your business for loyalty and to the future of your value. And the last one, number 8, is hub and spoke. And we talked a little bit about hub and spoke. Like, are you the engine that runs everything? And if you are, you might think about the fact that we need to change that a bit because, unless you're a one-man show. And I mean, from a bookkeeper, if you're a professional, if you're a lawyer, you're selling your time, and I get that, but we need to also be selling the time that's maximum value, both to us and to our profitability of the business, and be starting to outlay those lower level ones so that we can maximize what we do in our business in order to create the value both in our lives and doing the things that we want to do as the business owner, but also the things that we're most effective at doing and most profitable at doing.
Well, even the hub and spoke that you talk about, a lot of times, like I said, people, maybe they feel great about that because, well, people are coming to me and, I am getting kind of my accolades, I guess, from the people who are, having to come to me, and I look like I'm the smart one, and things like that.
Yeah.
Right. But if you flip it around though and realize, once again, if you want to sell your business in the future, someone isn't going to want to be in that position and have to work all the hours you're working and have to do all the things. They're not necessarily wanting to buy a job. They want to buy an investment, right? And so that's another reason why it's so important to be able to get away and let the company run without you. And I've done the same thing. You mentioned the 4-week vacation, a sabbatical, you called it. I started with 1 week and what needed to be fixed in 2, 3, 4, and so it is possible, and that's a scary thing sometimes, I think. So do you want to touch on maybe even the fear that someone might have of letting go and having someone else take care of some of the things that they currently do so that they can maybe start to break having to do it all?
It's interesting, Candy. The one last piece of the puzzle for me before I went away this last time was, I still, like, from the bookkeeping accounting side of things, I still was the one to press the button to pay bills over $1,000. My bookkeeper who works on our team, she would get everything prepped and everything ready. And every Monday I got my sort of list of the things that I had to authorize, even though she had done all the work to get it there. So the last piece of the puzzle for me to hand over during that time that I was away was that. And I handed that over too, so that I was completely free. And so that's a big one for a lot of people to let go, is that final, like, do you have your process in place? Do you have the right person in place? Is the trust there? And trust is a big word when we're aligning and assigning accountability. I've got this thing called the 4 A's of accountability, which is one of the concepts, like we talked about, I come up with all these concepts, but the 4 A's of accountability is assess it, address it, align it, and assign it. Assess it. What do I need to do? I need to actually, if I want to be free of this, I actually have to, get whatever Michelle needs to have in order to pay those bills. And then I need to address it. Well, I got to go to the bank and get the other things done so that she can do it. I need to align it. Who on my accountability chart can actually do this? And do I want to do this and is capable of doing this? Michelle's going to do it. And then I'm going to assign it. And this is where people can get through those 3 sometimes, but they have a hard time letting go of, and that's basically where you literally are assigning it over and you're not involved in any way, shape, or form. And business owners, because they've been involved, because they're addicted to making decisions, and because they're addicted to being involved in these things and dealing in the detail, they really have a hard time releasing. And I think the big piece of the puzzle here is that once you start releasing something that's a lot more minor than that, let's say, but that's still on your plate and your accountability, it becomes addictive to start releasing even more. until you're at a point where basically other people are making the decisions. I haven't
Mm-hmm.
made a hire in 7 years. And this week I've sat in on 3 different interviews for the first time in years. And the reason is because Michelle, who I mentioned to you earlier, she's pregnant and she is going to be off. So we need to fill her position, and she reports directly to me. So that now I'm involved in an interview position to fill that while she's off on maternity leave. And so these are the kind of things, and we're setting up the systems, we're setting up the alignability, we're setting up the capabilities, but all of the 8 key drivers are important in your journey as the business owner. And whether you're trying to clean up your process, whether you're trying to work through, your communication process and accountability that we talked about in the last episode, all of these different things, we need to understand where the benchmark is and where we're going to make the quick wins even quicker. And that's the beauty of the Value Builder assessment, because once you get your ratings essentially from 1 to 10 on each of these 8 key drivers, now we start having a conversation about, okay, well, maybe I'm 3 on 10 on this one, but I'm 6 on 10 on the other one. But the one that I'm 6 on 10, I'm okay with that. Or the one that I'm 3 on 10, I'm okay with that right now. And I know that's something we can address later. The one at 6 on 10 is going to make a bigger difference right now if we can get to 8. So let's talk about that. And what are the steps we're going to put in place to move through these so that it's going to make an immediate, more valuable situation, both for my life and for my business. And so, like anything, whether you're looking at a profit and loss statement, a cash flow analysis, balance sheet, or you're looking at your metrics for business or for opening the next email, are you getting the right email open rates? All of these different things, we need to have a benchmark. And most business owners don't have a benchmark on these things. So this is the benchmark. And now we're going to go back and say, okay, well, what do we want to do about it? How do we want to grow? Because if we make significant strides in these areas, our valuation goes up. And that's good for, if you want to go and start a new business, or if you want to advance your business or put a new wing onto it, or whatever the case is, when you're going to go present to the business, to the bankers and to the or if you're presenting to a potential new partner or whatever the case is, or aligning it for sale, the same thing. Now we've got everything we need to package this up and grow and do what we want to do with this business.
While you were even talking about that, I had been thinking, you started to answer a little bit of my question, but it was, obviously all 8 of these are important, but how does a business owner identify where they are in the 8 and what they should be focused on first to make those improvements? So you touched a little bit on, having some benchmarks. How do they even create those benchmarks? How do they determine what to focus on first? Because you can't do all 8 at once, right? You have to pick 1 or 2, right? So can you touch on that a little bit more?
Sure. I mean, it starts with actually taking the assessment. And the best way to do that is just to go over to my site. It's theexitreadybusiness.com. And there's a big blue button on the homepage right beside my picture. It says Value Builder Assessment. So if you click that button and take the assessment, it takes about 20 minutes. And to be honest, there are some numbers involved. And if you are uncomfortable at this stage about putting in income and stuff like that into the Value Builder at the end of the assessment, you don't have to. You can still get your full report on the 8 key drivers without that value assessment. So that's the one thing that hangs people up sort of at the end. Sometimes they're like, oh, I don't want to put in that stuff at this point in time, and I don't trust it and all that kind of stuff. It's okay. You don't have to put in that particular information, because you'll still get your report on each of these 8 key drivers. And like I said, it's kind of like a dial. Like if you think of that sort of half moon dial, for those that aren't watching and listening, if you think of a half moon dial, you'll get half moon dials. And it's like, am I in the green area? Am I in the red area? Am I in the yellow area? And now we start looking at these, and depending on the business, it does ask for your NAICS code as well, which is that, are you a retailer? Are you an auto body shop? Are you, so because the NAICS code will help us understand. Over 20,000 people have taken this. So, we have good data on this stuff. And when you go in and you take this, now we can compare it to other people who have done it, and we're going to see where you stand as a benchmark. It's a true benchmark. So you might be really good in 3 of these, and you might be medium in 2 of these, and you might be not so good in 3 of these. But like I said, even if you're not so good in 3 of those, maybe 3 of those don't make the biggest difference. Maybe the ones that are in the yellow make the biggest difference. But that's where I come in, because we'll have a half an hour chat after you do this. And I'll say, these are the 3 biggest areas that I think are going to make the difference, are going to move the needle, the literal needle for you on this. Because after you get them fixed, you take it again and you can see what you've done and you can see where you've grown. And if you do put in the income at a later date, you can see what that means to the potential value of your business. And it's interesting to me that business owners, they know what their house is worth. Oh, my house is worth $1 million, and I've got a cottage, it's worth 400,000. I've got an investment portfolio that's worth $1 million, and I've got a business that I have no idea, even though the business could be worth more than all of those combined. But I still don't even know what the valuation is. So step 1, really, as you work through this, is understand the value of your business, because how can you work to better it if you don't even know where we're starting?
And someone, though, might be listening and thinking, yeah, well, that's great, but I don't have any plans on the horizon to sell anytime soon. So, I don't think it's urgent at this point. I could put it off for a while. Like, do you want to touch on that, why that might not be the case and they maybe should still think about it?
Business planning has to start from day one. If you're in the wrong corporate structure and you do get somebody knocking on your door wanting to buy your business, and you're not in the right corporate structure, you could pay huge amounts of tax. I mean, there's all sorts of things why you want to set this sort of reason. We talked about death. We talked about divorce. We talked about disagreement. That kind of stuff happens to 50% of business owners in North America. 50%. They are exiting their business not because they want to, because they have to. So how important is setting this stuff up and mitigating the risk of an early exit versus the planned and wanted exit? If 1 out of every 2 people is exiting because they have to, you can't afford not to be looking at this stuff, because that 1 of 2 could be you. And that's my concern for business owners out there, Candy. It's like, I literally see this all the time. And I talked to somebody earlier today who had a small business, and they were doing $1 million in fresh pet food, frozen pet food, but fresh, not the dried kibble. They freeze patties of meat and stuff like that. The principal passed away. $1 million business. They have not shipped a patty of product in a month. Think of the valuation that's going down. Think of all the pet food stores that use them as one of their primary suppliers that are now looking for another supplier. Because they didn't have their process in place. They didn't have ways of backing this up, because that particular, even though it's 2 other people working in this small business, they don't know what to do. Or they don't want to, whatever reason. It's not getting shipped. It doesn't matter. And you can't afford all of the work that you've done to build your business to whatever state it's at, and the potential future growth, which is why that growth potential is one of the 8 key drivers. All of these things you're leaving as a potential failure, and think of how that affects that person's family now. It doesn't matter whether the person's 70 years old or 30 years old, but there's other ramifications around the fact that that person can no longer do that because they're either incapable or passed away. And, does that affect the family? Is the mortgage getting paid? All of these things. Does it affect retirement for the rest of the family? Is it affecting the kids? Is it affecting the legacy of the business? You've worked so hard to put the name on the business that, most business owners want to see their business survive. All of these different pieces are the reasons why you need to be looking at this stuff now. If you haven't started looking at this, you need to start now. And to me, it starts with something like the Value Builder Assessment, so that we can have the benchmark. And now at least we have a plan as to what we need to do. Whether you use a coach like you, Candy, or myself, or whatever the case is not the issue, because the real issue is I just need to know where I stand so that I can make the decisions that I need to make, both for my business and for my family.
Perfect. Well, I know we're coming close to the end of time that we have together, so I wanted to ask if you have an offer that you would like to extend to our listeners, and if they want more information, how can they connect with you?
The best thing to do, really, based on our conversation today, is to go over to theexitreadybusiness.com and take the value builder assessment if it sounds like something you want to do. It's free. And my offer to you is that I'll hop on a call for half an hour and we'll go over it together, and I'll point you in the right direction of some of the areas that I think you could probably, have some easy wins. So I think that's the best way. Other ways to connect me, pete-mohr.com. Mohr is the right spelling on my last name. You'll get everything else there. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. So just type in Pete Mohr, Mohr, and you will find me. I'd be happy to have a conversation.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on my show, coming back again, talking about something different, and giving more value to the listener. So I really appreciate your being here, and I enjoyed our discussion.
Oh, thanks so much, Candy. It's a pleasure. Make it a great day.
Thanks. And to the listener, I hope you enjoyed today's topic. And if you want to hear additional information, you can find access to exclusive content in the show notes. Thank you for tuning in today. Would you please share this episode with those you know and leave a review on your favorite platform? And if you find our show informative, would you consider being a financial sponsor to help me continue my mission to educate business owners? A link is located in the episode description, and no amount is too small. I'd really appreciate your support. If you are interested in connecting with our guest and receiving the offer they had to share, a link to our resource page is in the show notes. Finally, if you have any bookkeeping or payroll needs, reach out to us at 310-534-5577 or contact@abandp.com. My team and I are eager to assist you. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Biz Help for You. Please join your host, Candy Messer, again next time. Have a terrific day.